The emptiness between stars had never felt so big to Ambassador Kirala as it did now. What was left of her people's once great civilization drifted through space in a mix of old ships. The Meridian Empire had attacked without mercy, pushing the peaceful Elysians close to the end in less than 10 years. "We have sent messages on all known channels, Ambassador," said Technician Vor, his blue glowing skin dim with tiredness. No answer from any of the known space-traveling species. The bad news was expected but still hurt. The Galactic Council had made their choice clear. They would not step in. The Meridians were too strong, too cruel, and the Elysians were too few to risk starting a war across the stars. Kirala looked at the star map floating in front of her. Their fleet had moved into an unknown area, far from regular travel paths. Most species stayed away from this region, talking about strange events and unpredictable radiation, but desperate times called for desperate actions. What about that star system? Kirala pointed to a small yellow star with several planets. Are there any signs of life with minds? Vor checked his tools, his feelers twitching with surprise. Yes, Ambassador. We are picking up artificial signals, simple by our standards, but clearly from thinking beings. The third planet shows signs of growing technology. Send the distress call again, Kirala ordered, feeling a small hope grow. For the first time in months, use all channels, even their simple ones. Ambassador, Vor paused. These beings may not have reached space travel yet. The Council does not allow contact with species who haven't reached the stars. Kirala's usually soft face hardened. The Council left us to die, Vor. We have nothing more to lose. The message was simple, coded with universal math principles that any advanced species could understand. Location, a call for help, and a warning about the coming threat of the Meridian fleet. What they didn't expect was how quickly they would get an answer. 3 days later, Vor rushed into Kirala's room, his glow bright with excitement. Ambassador, the simple species, they've answered. The message was rough by Elysian standards, a basic binary response changed into math sequences, but its meaning was clear. We hear you. Help is coming. Stay where you are. Who are these beings? Kirala whispered. Vor showed the images they had taken of the blue-green world. They call themselves humans, Ambassador, and based on our scans they have only reached basic space travel. Their farthest outpost is on their own moon. Then how could they possibly help us? The answer would come sooner than either of them thought. A week passed. The Elysian fleet stayed in their position, watching and waiting. Some ships needed repairs, others were running low on supplies. The fleet's leaders started to wonder if the humans' message had been real. Kirala spent most of her time in the command center, watching the screens. The Elysians had placed small sensors throughout the nearby space, watching for any sign of the Meridians or of human help. Ambassador, one of the watch officers called. We're picking up an energy surge from the direction of the human world. Kirala moved quickly to the officer's station. What kind of surge? Unlike anything in our records, the officer said, adjusting his instruments. It's moving toward us, fast. A flash of worry ran through Kirala. Had they made a mistake? Had they revealed their location to a hostile species? The main screen flickered to life, showing a section of space that had been empty moments before. Now, a ship hung there, sleek and silver, with blue lights running along its sides. It was smaller than the Elysian command ship, but its design spoke of purpose and speed. They've made the jump to light speed, Vor said, his voice filled with wonder. But how? Our scans showed they had barely reached their moon. We should contact them, Kirala said. Open a channel. The screen changed, now showing the inside of the human ship. A group of beings stood there, clearly the command crew. They looked almost like Elysians, but with solid skin in various shades of brown, pink and black, and no glow. One of them stepped forward, a female, based on Kirala's studies of human biology. She had dark hair pulled back and wore a uniform of deep blue. This is Captain Ellie Reyes of the United Nations Space Command vessel Horizon, she said in a clear voice. The ship's computers quickly translated her words. We received your distress call. We're here to help. Kirala felt her hearts beating faster. Captain Reyes, I am Ambassador Kirala of the Elysian Confederation. We did not expect such a quick response, especially from a species we thought had not yet reached the stars. The human captain smiled slightly. We're fast learners, Ambassador. And when someone asks for help, humans don't just stand by. The conversation that followed covered the basics. The Elysians needed a safe place, supplies, and eventually, allies against the Meridian Empire that had destroyed their homeworlds and colonies. When Kirala explained how much stronger the Meridians were, one of the human crew leaned toward Captain Reyes and whispered something. Reyes nodded and turned back to the screen. Ambassador Kirala, I can't promise we can beat your enemies, but I can promise this. Earth will not abandon you. What you need now is time and a safe place, and we can give you both. More human ships appeared over the next few hours, 6 in total. They were not as advanced as Elysian ships, but their presence spoke of the humans' commitment. How did you reach us so quickly? Kirala asked during one of their planning sessions. Your technology seemed so new. It was, Reyes admitted. Your distress call reached us at a key moment. We had just tested our first lightspeed engine, but were afraid to use it. Your call gave us a reason to take the risk. You risked your life for strangers? Vor asked, amazed. It's what humans do, Reyes said simply. Now let's talk about getting your people to safety before the Meridians track you here. As the human and Elysian crews worked together to plan their journey to Earth, Kirala felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. These humans, these beings from a world the Galactic Council had ignored, had answered when no one else would. Perhaps they really did have a chance. Captain Ellie Reyes of the UNSC Horizon stood on the bridge, watching as Earth grew smaller in the viewing screen. She still couldn't quite believe what had happened in the past 3 days. The signal had come through NASA's Deep Space Network, first thought to be just noise until Alan West, a smart but odd signals analyst, recognized the math patterns hidden in the noise. Within hours, the world's governments were rushing to form a response. Captain, we're getting close to the meeting point, said Lieutenant Joe Baker, his fingers moving fast across the navigation panel. Ellie nodded, trying to look confident, even though she didn't completely feel that way. The Horizon was humanity's first true ship that could travel between stars, fitted with the new Shaw-Martinez drive that had never been tested beyond the outer edges of our solar system. 6 more ships were following behind them, but they were alone at the front of humanity's first contact with life from another world. All departments report if you're ready, she ordered. One by one, her crew confirmed their stations were ready. Dr. Kate Spencer, the mission's head biologist for studying alien life, looked especially nervous but determined at her science station. Remember, Ellie said to her crew, we're dealing with people who need help. Whatever they look like, whatever their bodies are like, they've reached out to us because they're desperate. Humanity will answer with kindness. The Shaw-Martinez drive turned off with a deep shake that moved through the ship's frame, and the Horizon came back into normal space. The sensors immediately detected the Elysian fleet, about 30 ships of different sizes, showing signs of battle damage and quick repairs. We're being scanned, reported Security Chief Greg Wilson. Not harmful. Seems to be standard checking procedures. Open a channel, Ellie ordered. Let's properly introduce ourselves. The screen flickered and Ellie found herself face to face with Ambassador Kirala. The alien's glowing blue skin and long, elegant features caused a moment of shock that Ellie quickly pushed down. I am Captain Ellie Reyes of the United Nations Space Command ship Horizon, she said clearly. We received your call for help and have come to offer assistance. Kirala's large, many-sided eyes widened in what seemed to be surprise. Captain Reyes, she responded, her voice translated by the Elysians' more advanced systems. I am Ambassador Kirala of the Elysian Confederation. We did not expect such a quick response, especially from a species we thought hadn't yet traveled between stars. Ellie allowed herself a small smile. We're quick learners, Ambassador. And when someone Needs help, humans don't just stand by. The talk that followed set up the basics. The Elysians needed safety, supplies, and eventually allies against the Meridian Empire that had systematically destroyed their homeworlds and colonies. When Kirala explained how much stronger the Meridians were in military power, Dr. Spencer leaned toward Ellie. "Captain, we may be out of our depth here. From what she's describing, these Meridians have technology hundreds of years beyond our own." "Maybe," Ellie replied quietly. "But humanity has often overcome technology gaps through creativity and determination." She turned back to the screen. "Ambassador Kirala, I cannot promise victory against your enemies, but I can promise you this. Earth will not abandon you. What you need now is time and safe harbor, and we can provide both." As the rest of the human fleet arrived, plans were made to escort the Elysian ships back to the solar system. Earth was about to change forever, and so was humanity's place in the galaxy. The journey back to Earth would take 2 weeks at the speed the damaged Elysian ships could manage. During this time, Ellie and her crew learned more about their new allies. "Our civilization was peaceful," Kirala explained during one of their meetings in the Horizons conference room. She stood near the window, her blue skin glowing softly in the dim light. "We had colonies on 12 worlds with art and science that had developed over thousands of years. And the Meridians destroyed all of it?" Ellie asked, finding it hard to imagine such complete destruction. "Yes," Kirala's glow dimmed with sadness. "They attack any civilization they see as a potential future threat. They have done this for centuries, but the Galactic Council has always looked the other way." "Tell me about this Galactic Council," Ellie said. "Will they object to us helping you?" Kirala made a gesture that seemed like a shrug. "The Council claims to govern relations between spacefaring species, but they only protect the interests of the most powerful. They refuse to help us because they feared the Meridians. And what will they think of humans?" "They will be surprised," Kirala admitted. "Your world was classified as pre-spacefaring, to be left alone until you developed faster-than-light travel on your own. By responding to our call, you have jumped ahead in their timeline." Ellie smiled. "We do that sometimes." As they talked, Technician Vor and Dr. Spencer were in one of the science labs, exchanging information about their species. Vor was fascinated by human biology. "Your cells have such interesting structures," he said, looking through a microscope at a sample of human blood. "And you say your skin doesn't glow at all?" "Not unless we have a sunburn," Dr. Spencer joked, then had to explain what a sunburn was. In return, Vor explained how Elysians could control their bioluminescence, using it for communication and expression. "It's like what you call body language, but with light patterns." On the bridge, Lieutenant Baker and Security Chief Wilson were reviewing the sensor data on the Elysian ships. "Their technology is amazing," Baker said. "Some of these energy readings don't make sense according to our physics." "That's what worries me," Wilson replied. "If the Elysians are this advanced, and the Meridians beat them easily, what chance do we have?" "The captain seems to think we have a shot," Baker said. Wilson nodded slowly. "She usually knows what she's doing. I just hope Earth is ready for all this." As they approached the edge of the solar system, Captain Reyes called a meeting with all department heads. The mood was serious as they discussed what would happen next. "Once we enter Earth orbit, things will move very fast," she told them. "The UN Security Council has been preparing for our arrival, but there will be panic, confusion, and probably some fear." "Do we know how Earth's people will react to the Elysians?" asked Dr. Spencer. "The early reports from the UN suggest a mix of reactions," Ellie replied. "Some fear, some excitement, some disbelief. Religious groups are having varied responses. But the governments are united on one thing: we will offer the Elysians sanctuary." "And if the Meridians follow them to Earth?" Wilson asked the question everyone was thinking. Ellie's face grew serious. "Then we'll face the greatest challenge in human history, but we won't face it alone." She looked around at her crew. "We've already done the impossible by reaching the Elysians. Now we need to help Earth prepare for what comes next." As the ships approached Mars orbit, the first messages came in from Earth's leaders. Operation Safe Harbor was in effect. Humanity's first guests from the stars were about to arrive, and nothing would ever be the same. The arrival of the Elysian ships in Earth orbit caused a feeling like no other in human history. Even though governments tried to prepare their people, the sight of alien ships against the moon created both wonder and fear. In the 2 months since first meeting, the United Nations had built a large space home at a stable point between Earth and the moon. They called it Haven, and it was a temporary home for about 15,000 Elysian refugees. It was the biggest building project ever done by humans, made faster by using Elysian building methods. Paul Rivera, head of the UN Extraterrestrial Refugee Commission, stood in Haven's main hall watching Elysian children playing with human children from the workers' families. The Elysian children's glowing skin made light patterns that amazed the human kids. "It's amazing how quickly they've adjusted," said Susan Chen, Paul's helper. "The children especially." Paul nodded. "Children can adapt well. It's the adults I worry about. Many of them have lost everything. Their homes, families, whole worlds." "Ambassador Kerala seems sure that coming here was the right choice," Susan replied. "Let's hope she's right," Paul said. "The Meridian scout ships have already been seen at the edge of our solar system. Our safe time won't last forever." On Earth, preparations for possible fighting moved forward faster than ever before. The Elysians freely shared their technology, though much of it needed building methods and materials that Earth factories would take years to develop. Still, parts of their advanced science, medicine, and computers could be used right away, starting what news people were calling the Great Leap. In the meeting room under the White House, President Olivia Clark reviewed the latest defense plans with her military advisors and a group that included Ambassador Kerala and Captain Reyes, now made Admiral and connection to the Elysian leaders. "The Meridians will send the exploring force first," Kerala explained, pointing to the battle display. "Their usual way is to check resistance before sending their main fleet." "And based on your past meetings, what size force should we expect?" asked General Frank Martinez, head of the Joint Chiefs. 3 to 5 battle cruisers with support ships," Kerala answered. "More than enough to take over a world with your current level of technology." The room went quiet at this honest assessment. "With respect, Ambassador," Admiral Reyes spoke, "up. Humanity has a history of successfully fighting against forces with better technology by using unusual tactics. We don't need to match them ship for ship." President Clark studied the display thoughtfully. "Admiral Reyes makes a good point. The Meridians expect to find a simple species hiding refugees. They don't expect organized resistance with even some access to Elysian technology." "What are you suggesting, Madam President?" asked General Martinez. "I'm suggesting we set a trap," she replied. "One that uses the Meridians' pride against them." As the meeting went on deep into the night, a plan began to form. One that would need perfect teamwork between human and Elysian forces, and would depend as much on trickery as on firepower. Meanwhile, in orbit around Jupiter, the first Meridian scout ship appeared from faster-than-light travel, its sensors reaching toward the inner planets and the unexpected mix of signals coming from the Third World and its new space buildings. The scout ship was sleek and predatory, all sharp angles, and dark metal. Inside, Commander Vareth studied the readings with growing interest. "This system is more developed than our records showed," she said to her second-in-command. "The third planet has achieved some level of space capability." "Could they pose a threat to our mission?" her second asked. Vareth made a sound of dismissal. "They have barely reached their own moon with their largest vessels. They are nothing compared to the might of the Meridian Empire." "And the Elysian refugees? They are definitely here," Vareth confirmed, looking at energy readings that matched Elysian ship types. "Hiding among these primitives, hoping we would not follow. Pathetic." The scout ship continued its silent watch, recording everything it could about Earth's defenses. After 3 days, it sent its findings back to the Meridian fleet waiting at the edge of the solar system, then disappeared back into the darkness of space. On Earth and in Haven, preparations continued. Human scientists worked day and night with their Elysian counterparts, trying to adapt advanced technology to work with Earth's manufacturing abilities. Soldiers from Earth's nations trained together, learning new tactics for space combat. Admiral Rhea spent most of her time in orbit, coordinating the growing defense fleet. Earth had 6 ships capable of interstellar travel now, alongside 12 more limited to the solar system. They weren't much compared to what the Meridians would bring, but they were all humanity had. Our main advantage is that they don't know what we're capable of, she told her captains during a strategy meeting on Haven. They'll be expecting to find frightened refugees and primitive humans with no space combat experience. But that's exactly what we are, Captain Ben Howard pointed out. Most of us have never fired a weapon in space. True, Reyes admitted, but the Meridians don't know about humanity's special talent. Which is? Another captain asked. Kir-Allah, who had been quiet until now, answered, your adaptability. In all our history, we've never seen a species learn and change so quickly. What took the Elysians generations to develop, humans seem to grasp in months. Reyes nodded. And we have something else the Meridians don't expect. What's that? Howard asked. We're fighting for our home, Reyes said simply. Not for conquest or resources. For our families, our planet, our future. That makes all the difference. The final piece of their plan came from an unexpected source. Dr. Kate Spencer, a biologist who had been studying Elysian and Meridian biology, discovered something important. The Meridians have an unusual nervous system, she explained to the Defense Council. It's sensitive to certain frequencies of electromagnetic radiation that don't affect humans or Elysians. Can we use this? President Clark asked. Dr. Spencer nodded. We're developing devices that can emit pulses at just the right frequency. They won't kill Meridians, but they could stun them, disrupt their coordination. How close would we need to be? Admiral Reyes asked. That's the problem, Spencer admitted. Very close. We'd need to get these devices onto their ships somehow. President Clark looked at the plans spread before her. I think we've just found the missing piece of our trap. As the final preparations were made, a sense of unity grew among the people of Earth like never before. Old enemies worked together, scientists shared discoveries freely, and everyone understood what was at stake. The Elysians watched with growing hope. They had come to Earth desperate and defeated. Now, for the first time, they began to believe that maybe, just maybe, the humans might help them do what no other species had managed, stand against the Meridian Empire and win. The first Meridian attack came, as Kir-Allah had predicted, with brutal efficiency. 3 massive battle cruisers and their support ships entered the solar system, bypassing the outer planet defenses with technology that made Earth's early warning systems almost useless. Almost, but not completely. Meridian ships detected passing Saturn's orbit, announced the technician at the Lunar Defense Command Center. Signal patterns match Ambassador Kir-Allah's information exactly. Admiral Reyes nodded grimly. Start Operation Trojan Horse. Throughout the solar system, human and Elysian defenders put their carefully planned strategy into action. The refugee home haven appeared to panic, sending distress calls and launching escape pods toward Earth. Exactly what the Meridians would expect from their previous attacks on the Elysians. What the Meridians didn't expect was that many of them escape pods contained special EMP weapons developed through human-Elysian teamwork, designed to target the specific frequencies used by Meridian shields. As the Meridian fleet moved to catch the seemingly helpless refugee station, they paid little attention to the scattered pieces of debris left behind from Haven's hasty construction, debris that hid hundreds of small, unmanned attack drones. On the bridge of her flagship, Meridian Commander Vareth watched with satisfaction as they approached the primitive system. These humans are even less advanced than our scouts reported, she said to her second-in-command. Their attempt to hide the Elysian vermin will fail, as all others have. Commander, her tactical officer called out suddenly, I'm detecting unusual energy patterns from the debris field. Before Vareth could respond, hundreds of drones activated at the same time, swarming toward the Meridian vessels from all directions. At the same time, the escape pods set off their EMP charges, creating rippling disruptions across the Meridian shields. Impossible, Vareth snarled as systems throughout her ship flickered and failed. How could these primitives? Her question was answered as the main human Elysian fleet emerged from behind Earth's moon, led by 6 Earth vessels equipped with reverse-engineered Elysian weapons technology, alongside the remaining combat-capable Elysian ships. What followed was a battle, unlike anything either species had experienced. The Meridians still had a technology advantage, but the combined cleverness of human tactics and Elysian expertise created opportunities that neither could have achieved alone. From her position on the UNSC Defender, Admiral Reyes coordinated the attack. "Focus fire on the flagship's engine systems," she ordered. "Elysian vessels, keep your position in the interference field." The battle raged for hours across the space between Earth and Mars. The orbital defense platforms around Earth, quickly built using Elysian designs, managed to stop most of the attacks that got through the main defense line. On Earth, civilians, huddled in shelters, watching news feeds of humanity's first war between stars. Among them was Dr. Kate Spencer, who had become one of the leading experts on Elysian biology. In her underground laboratory, she worked frantically to complete a project that could turn the tide if the space battle failed. The device in front of her was small, about the size of a microwave oven, but it represented months of work combining human and Elysian science. If it worked, it would emit a specific pattern of energy that would disrupt Meridian neural networks without harming humans or Elysians. "We need more power to the emission array," she told her assistant, Ben Ford. "The wavelength needs to be exact or it won't work on their nervous systems." Ben adjusted the controls, watching the readings carefully. "Dr. Spencer, we've never tested this on an actual Meridian. Are we sure it will work?" "No," Kate admitted. "But based on the biological samples Ambassador Kerala provided, and the simulations we've run, it should at least disorient them temporarily." In space, the battle had reached a critical point. 2 of the Meridian battle cruisers had sustained heavy damage, but the human Elysian fleet had lost nearly a third of their ships. On the Defender's bridge, Admiral Reyes received a worrying report. "The flagship's shields are adapting to our weapons, Admiral. They're learning our attack patterns." Reyes had expected this. The Meridian's adaptive technology was one of their greatest advantages. "Switch to pattern Bravo. All ships, execute. Random targeting protocols." Just then, a massive explosion rocked the Defender as a Meridian energy beam struck one of their engine pods. "Status," Reyes demanded, picking herself up from the floor. "Engine pod 3 is gone. Shields at 40%. We can still fight, but we can't take another hit like that." Reyes made a quick decision. "Bring us in closer to the flagship. They'll expect us to retreat, not advance. Admiral, with our damaged engines, if we get that close, we'll be within the minimum range of their main weapons," Reyes finished. "They'll have to use their secondary systems, which we know are less effective against our shields." It was a desperate move, but desperate was all they had left. As the Defender moved closer to the massive Meridian flagship, other human and Elysian ships followed her lead, forming a tight formation that confused the Meridian targeting systems. On the Meridian flagship, Commander Vareth was growing increasingly frustrated. "How are these primitives resisting us? They shouldn't have this level of coordination or technology." Her tactical officer's reply was interrupted by a new alarm. "Commander, we're detecting multiple small objects approaching our hull. They appear to be boarding craft?" Vareth laughed harshly. "Let them come. Our warriors will slaughter any humans foolish enough to board us. But these weren't conventional boarding parties." Each small craft contained one of Dr. Spencer's neural disruptor devices, programmed to attach to the Meridian hull and activate. When they did, the effect was immediate. Throughout the flagship, Meridian crew members collapsed or staggered, their neural systems overwhelmed by the precisely targeted energy pulses. Commander Vareth herself fell to her knees, her vision blurring, and her limbs refusing to obey her commands. "What is this?" she gasped. Taking advantage of the Meridian's confusion, Admiral Reyes ordered a concentrated attack on the flagship's main power core. With their defensive systems compromised and their crew incapacitated, the massive vessel's shields finally failed. After sustaining heavy damage, the remaining Meridian vessels retreated, jumping to faster-than-light speed with a blinding flash that temporarily disrupted all sensors in the area. In the command center, a cheer went up from the human personnel, but Admiral Reyes and Ambassador Kir-Allah exchanged knowing glances. This wasn't a final victory, merely a short break from fighting. "They'll be back," Kir-Allah said quietly. "And next time, they'll bring their main battle fleet." Admiral Reyes nodded solemnly. "Then we'd better be ready. How long do we have?" 3 Earth months, perhaps 4, Kir-Allah replied. "They'll need to report what they found and gather enough forces." Reyes straightened her uniform. "Then we have work to do. The Meridians have just learned that humans are not as primitive as they thought, but they haven't seen anything yet. 4 months after the first battle, Earth had changed. Cities now had Elysian-human mix buildings with defense shields. The once empty space between Earth and Mars was busy with military and civilian ships built using combined technologies. The refugee station Haven had grown into a big complex that served as the center for culture and technology exchange. On the friendship front, humanity had sent teams to contact other species that the Galactic Council had ignored or pushed aside. Many were doubtful, but a few saw potential in joining with these strange, determined beings who had successfully stood up to the Meridians. In orbit around Neptune, Earth's farthest defense line detected the approach of the Meridian main fleet, over 30 capital ships and many support vessels, a force that had conquered dozens of worlds. This time there was no surprise for either side. The Meridians knew they faced a unique alliance, while Earth and the Elysians had prepared every possible advantage. In the strategy room aboard the newly built UNSC Unity, a vessel that showed the best of human Elysian engineering, Admiral Reyes finalized the defense plans with her mixed crew of human and Elysian officers. "The Meridians will expect us to concentrate our defenses around Earth," she explained. "Instead, we'll spread out, using the entire solar system as our battlefield." Ambassador Kir-Allah, now serving as diplomatic connection to the fleet, studied the battle display with newfound military appreciation. "The Meridians value efficiency above all else. They will try to end this quickly rather than fight a long campaign, which is exactly what we're counting on," Reyes replied. "Humanity has always been good at outlasting enemies who should have overwhelmed us." As predicted, the Meridian fleet arrived with overwhelming force, bypassing the outer system defenses and heading directly for Earth. What they didn't anticipate was the defensive strategy developed by Admiral Reyes's team. Instead of fighting directly, the smaller but more maneuverable human Elysian vessels followed a strategy of defense in depth, using the gravity of planets and moons to gain tactical advantages, placing mines and automatic weapon platforms in carefully calculated positions, and attacking Meridian support vessels rather than their heavily defended capital ships. On Earth, Dr. Kate Spencer's project finally succeeded, a biological counter that exploited a unique weakness in Meridian physiology, temporarily disrupting their neural networks without causing permanent harm. Delivered via specialized missiles, it made boarding parties ineffective and created confusion on Meridian vessels. The decisive moment came when the UNSC Unity, leading a squadron of specialized attack vessels, executed a daring assault on the Meridian flagship. Using technology based on Elysian principles but reimagined through human creativity, they breached the flagship's defenses and captured Supreme Commander Krelvac himself. With their command structure disrupted and facing an enemy unlike any they had encountered before, the Meridian fleet found itself in disarray. For the first time in their long history of conquest, they were forced to negotiate rather than dictate terms. 1 year later, Ambassador Kir-Allah and Admiral Reyes stood in the newly constructed Galactic Embassy in Geneva, watching as representatives from 27 spacefaring species, including a delegation from the reformed Meridian Cooperative, gathered to sign the Sol Accords, establishing new principles for relations between stars. "When we sent that distress call," Kir-Allah said, softly, "we hoped only for sanctuary. We never imagined finding allies who would change the course of galactic history." Reyes smiled, watching as human and alien diplomats mingled. "That's the thing about humanity, Ambassador. When we hear a cry for help, we don't just offer temporary shelter, we build a home where everyone can thrive together. Outside the embassy, ordinary citizens of Earth went about their daily lives in a world transformed by contact with the stars. Children played games, learned from Elysian friends, researchers worked together on projects that would have been impossible just 2 years earlier, and artists created works that blended the views of multiple worlds. 2 such children, one human, one Elysian, sat in a park near the embassy, sharing a human treat called ice cream. The human child, a girl named Lily, watched with amusement as her friend Trell's skin glowed with pleasure at the sweet taste. "I still don't understand how your ships heard our call," Trell said between licks of his ice cream. "My parents said. No one else answered for months." Lily shrugged. "My mom says humans are good listeners, and we don't like bullies." "The Meridians were big bullies," Trell agreed, his glow dimming slightly at the memory. "But they're not anymore," Lily pointed out. "Now they have to play nice with everyone else." Inside the embassy, more serious conversations were taking place. Admiral Reyes met with representatives from 3 newly contacted species who had suffered under Meridian expansion. "We don't have much to offer in terms of advanced technology," the tallest of the 3 said. "But we've seen what your alliance accomplished. We want to be part of it." "The Soul Accords are open to all peaceful species," Reyes assured them. "Everyone has something to contribute, whether it's technology, resources, or simply a unique perspective." Later, that evening, as the diplomatic reception wound down, President Clark pulled Reyes and Kirala aside. "The Galactic Council has finally sent a response to our application for recognition," she told them. "After all this time?" Kirala's skin pulsed with surprise. "What did they say?" President Clark smiled. "They've approved it, of course. They could hardly do otherwise after we defeated the Meridians and established peace with 27 species. But they've added a condition." "What kind of condition?" Reyes asked suspiciously. "They want Earth to take a seat on the Council itself," Clark replied. "Apparently, our unique approach to interspecies relations could benefit the wider galactic community." Kirala's skin glowed brighter than Reyes had ever seen. "From ignored primitives to council members in less than 3 years. I don't think that's ever happened in galactic history." "Well," Reyes said with a grin, "we've never been good at following the expected path." As night fell over Geneva, lights from human and alien ships twinkled in the sky above. In homes around the world, children asked their parents to tell them again the story of how the Elysians came to Earth, and how humanity answered a call that no one else would. The message that had traveled across the void, a desperate plea for help, had been answered by a species that the galaxy had overlooked. In doing so, humanity had not only saved the Elysians but had changed the destiny of countless civilizations among the stars. When they cried for help, only humanity had heard them and answered, and the universe would never be the same.